I'm the founder of the Birch Method, and I've been working with people in their bodies for almost 40 years, and I'm a really good observer. I watch people, and I watch how they move, and I notice things. And so I like to share what I notice because I think it's kind of interesting, and hopefully you will too. Do you ever notice how patterns and habits feel really strong, like you can't break them? Like you have a habit of eating sweets at night, or you have a habit of doing something, you have a habit of sitting a certain way, or you have a habit of always calling your boyfriend, your ex-boyfriend, when you're drunk. I don't know, whatever it could be. There's a lot of habits and patterns, and part of those patterns are good and they sustain us, and that's all great. And then there are patterns and habits that we'd really like to see change. And they feel so strong, like you're really up against something and you have to push really hard against it. And the thing about habits and patterns is that they actually get their strength from the next time you repeat them. Think about that. A habit is only as strong as the next time you repeat it. And so when you start to interrupt those patterns in sometimes really small ways, you bring your awareness to them, and you surround, like if you eat sweets at night, then you start to do something around that pattern, like you drink water first. That's kind of a pattern interrupt because it's out of the ordinary. And so you start to drink water first before you go to the sweets. I'm not saying you can't do that, but just start to change it and start to shift how it shows up for you so that you have some input to the pattern. And the next time you do it, you do that same thing. And then the next time you do something a little bit different, like let's say you do a little bit more portion control the next time, for example. And this could be any pattern. I'm just choosing this as an example. And then the next time you drink water, and then you do a little dance. You do some kind of, like, you put on some fun music, you do a little dance jig, and then you say, okay, do I want this as much as I thought I did? It's a fair question, right? And then you could either have it or not have it, but the idea is that you start to interrupt your patterns and you start to shape and shift them according to what you want, rather than just being at the mercy or at the reaction of whatever your patterns have been. A pattern is only as strong as the next time you repeat it. And if you start to interrupt your pattern, even small ways or big ways, then you actually start to shift the strength of that pattern, and then it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming or overpowering in your life. Now, I work with people, as I said, in their bodies. And so if you have a habit of using your body in a certain way, it's, at first it's completely unconscious, right? You're just like, well, I didn't even know I did that. What do you mean I'm doing that? Let's say you're holding tension in a certain way, or you're using your muscles in a certain way, or you're defaulting in some way to this pattern. And at first it's going to feel totally overwhelming, and you might not even know how to actually change it. But it's just a matter of starting to bring your awareness there. Like I said, oh, I notice that I do that. Oh, I notice that I do that. And then what I teach people is actually to give them an alternative to their pattern. So then they can interrupt it. Yeah, this feels familiar and natural, but wait a minute, let me just notice how this feels. Because the reason I teach people around this is because the pattern that they're using is giving them an outcome that they don't want. Right? Some pain or some stiffness or some outcome. And when I teach them about the pattern that's more aligned and more essentially powerful and more according to the design of their body, which of course is going to be more powerful, right? Then they have an option, and they can start training themselves into the more desirable pattern, and eventually the old pattern starts to weaken and go away. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, just about the strength of patterns, and they're not as scary and overwhelming and overpowering as they seem at first glance. So I just offer you that. I'd like you to kind of practice that in your own life, start to bring awareness around your patterns and habits and your defaults. Start to notice how you sit. If you always sit on one side, if you always stand on one side, or if you always cross one leg or the other, or you always kind of notice that you're on the phone and your one shoulder is higher. There's dozens of little ways that we default. So just start to notice those and start to bring breath and awareness to those patterns, and you'll notice that you start to weaken them, and that's a really good thing. Feels very empowering. And if you have issues around pain at all, then I ask you to go ahead and download the cheat sheet that I have up above this video. And if you like the video, go ahead and like it. And if you love it, then share it with people, because I'm really passionate about spreading the message of how to actually live in a body that feels younger all the time and feels pain-free. Because I was in a place where that wasn't the case, and now I am, and it makes me crazy when people are in pain or aging unnecessarily. All right, I'm Erin Birch, and your body is my business.